My name is Ernie Hernandez. I'm the head strength coach here at California Strength. We're going to do a multi-part series on some of the posterior chain exercises we use here. Today I'm going to start off with some of the bilateral movements that we use for our posterior chain work. So these are a couple exercises we use for knee flexion. One's going to be an open kinetic chain and the other one's going to be a closed kinetic chain. And the reason we use those is because it's good to vary up the load on the muscles in order to challenge the muscles in a different way. So this one, we call this the eccentric glute ham raise. So what you're going to need is you're going to need a band or something to assist, and then you're also going to need someone to anchor the ankles. All right, so in this exercise, the ankles are anchored, and then the load is on the proximal end of the joint. All right, so you're going to use a partner to help assist you as you slowly lower your torso down to the ground, and then they're going to assist you on the way up. This is a very challenging exercise, so you really want to try to control that eccentric load. You're going to be much stronger in that movement, but then on the way up, that person's really going to have to assist you. So you'll see some of our lifters in some of these clips doing this exercise.
So Jason's in shape. Is he going to go to American?
Movable base, or go ahead and take a free box spring when you purchase an iComfort mattress set right now. You're going to love that movable base. I've got one, Greg, I know you've got one, and it just makes your sleep training experience even better. And if you want to get financing information on that 36-month interest-free financing before you even step into the door, you can call 1-800-378-BEDS. That's 800-378-BEDS. Get into sleep training during the mattress price wars. It's on now, and your ticket to a better night's sleep training.
So this is another exercise we use for knee flexion. So if you have access to a machine like this, it's a good one to use for knee flexion. So in this one, your knee's going to be fixed and the load's going to be at the distal end of the lower leg. All right, so eccentric glute ham raise, your ankle's fixed and the load's going to be at the proximal end of the lower leg. This one, all it is a hamstring curl. Okay, but a couple ways to kind of vary this up is to vary your foot position. All right, so you can have your foot pointed away from you, so plantar flexed, neutral, or dorsiflexed. And then you can also have your foot either rotated in, neutral, or rotated out. So 3 different positions of the foot. You can really have some vary the combination of the foot position to challenge the hamstrings in a different way. Next 2 exercises that I'm going to show you are for hip extension. So the last 2 I showed you were for knee flexion. The these 2 movements for hip extension are much more popular for weightlifting because you don't really need knee flexion in weightlifting. But as far as athletics goes, it's good to use knee flexion and hip extension in order to challenge the hamstrings. So these 2 exercises are going to be the reverse hypers and the back extension. All right, this reverse hyper machine, it's a very rare machine to see in gyms, but if you have access to one, it's an extremely invaluable machine. So that would be a good one to have in your gym. So the difference between the 2, right, they're both for hip extension, but in this one, the torso is going to be fixed and the legs are moving, and back extension, the lower body is going to be fixed and the torso is moving. So that's an example of an open kinetic chain and a closed kinetic chain, 2 different ways to load the posterior chain. And so in the next few clips, we're going to show you some examples of these 2 movements.
Bodyweight back extensions.
Hardcore.
Blackwell.
Hardcore. Spence, can you do bodyweight back extensions yet?
Yeah. 2. Come on, Rob.
All the way up. Come on. Come on.
So these are some of the bilateral movements that we use to train the posterior chain. And to be honest, you can't be too strong in the posterior chain. So utilizing these exercises in every workout would definitely be beneficial, regardless of what you're training for. So in part 2 of this series, we're going to explain some of the unilateral exercises that we use and why we use them. So keep tuning in. We'll see you soon.